You're listening to That Home Loan Hub. I'm Zibuni Salimova, here to make home loans and property investing simple, smart and stress-free. Let's get you closer to your property dreams. I did a few episodes with Evan, the building inspector, and my beautiful friend Megan, who is a real estate agent as well. She listened to those episodes and she thought, ooh, there's an interesting angle here. Hello, Megan.
Hello.
Builders reports.
Yes, I was quite interested because I listened to most of your episodes.
I've got a number one fan.
You do. He covered a lot of what the Builders Report includes and the work that they do on their reports and how accessible they try to make it for buyers to understand. But I thought if you go back a step to my job, because his job starts when the building report has been booked. But my job is at the point where the buyers make the offer and we say to them, what conditions would you like to add? And they say, oh, can you put a builder's report on there? And we're like, okay, how many days do you want? And things like that. And then I say to them, do you want a list of our approved building inspectors for Kapiti to help you out? They're all insured, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, no, I'm going to get my dad to do it. Or I've got a friend who's coming. And there's that little moment where you have that chat with them. Did you know the difference between your friend or a family member doing a report for you versus a proper LBP, fully insured up to $2 million, like licensed, qualified, met all the criteria, building inspector? Because any builder can go through a house and have good knowledge of the house and point out problems, but only the special building inspector people have the insurance and have that sort of, I guess you can come back to them if there's issues.
Interesting, because I guess a lot of people don't think about that condition to be a proper condition that they can activate.
And I mean, there's criteria, of course, and you know, there's quirky things with a house that maybe they couldn't pick up because they weren't able to access under the floor or in the roof space or whatever, but they usually clearly note that in their reports. But there's a lot of buyers, especially first home buyers, who don't understand what the difference is because they hear builder and they're like, but dad's a builder. They don't realize that a building inspector is different to a builder. Yeah, so we try and explain it to them and then we're like, we'll obviously be guided by what they want to do, but it's a really interesting conversation to have.
Okay. The way I usually see it with my clients when they want to put an offer is I often explain to them that if you put a builder's condition and then you've done a report, I always go back to the report. I never mention that, you know, if your dad looks at it or uncle or friend, but if you do the report and then there's something that comes up on that report, you can actually flag it with the vendors and you can get them to either remediate the issue, so the vendors have to fix it, or they drop the price. Like for instance, we had one where the roof was leaking and the vendors were kind enough to replace the roof. The other vendors were kind enough to drop the price by 20K because they didn't want to be bothered spending.
They might have got like a quote for how much it would cost to fix. Yeah,
correct. So builders report first and then the quotes, and you probably want to get a couple of quotes, not just one. So 2 or 3, usually good practice. And then you go back and this is your ground to negotiate. But if you try to negotiate because your dad thinks that the windows need replacement because they're rotting, I don't think the vendors will take it seriously.
Yeah.
Even if your dad is a qualified builder.
It depends on the vendor. If you're threatening to pull out of the deal, then they probably would listen, but they'd still want a qualified person that they could independently verify who's not related to you to provide the quotes to fix. So with the roof, you'd get in 2 or 3 roofers, for example. You'd say, hey, look, the buyers have flagged this as an issue. We actually had that a little while ago. The buyers identified $20,000 needing to be done to the roof of repairs for a variety of things. And the homeowner got very grumpy and got their own roofer in and fixed everything notified to them by the buyers for about $3,000. But a lot of the original cost was scaffolding and these people had used a different method. So, yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. So, but a lot of cases the buyers are happy if the issue is fixed or if the work,
is down to a standard.
Yeah. And then the original builder came back to check it off against what he'd identified. Yeah.
The other thing that Evan and I often discussed is, he always tries to get into places if he can, like climbing under the house and getting into the rooftop and things like that. But obviously there are places that he just can't physically get to. And again, if you're trying to get your dad or your uncle to do it for you.
Are they skinny?
That was not where I was going with that.
Sorry.
That was awesome. It's just a matter of, are they going to take the same effort?
Yeah.
Are they really going to get into all the nooks and crannies and, really know what they're looking for?
Yeah.
As a builder, you may be knowing certain things, but I guess as a qualified building inspector, you're also undergoing various trainings and tests and,
industry knowledge, events and things.
Yeah, you're up to date with exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's almost like sending a GP to do a surgeon's work.
Yes. Yeah. We had one guy turn up. The buyers didn't end up buying the house, but their builder friend turned up and just looked around and went, oh, wow, I love the kitchen. This is cool. And it was very much a casual turning up as a friend. We were thinking he's not really checking very much stuff, like he might have looked at it and had amazing knowledge of the house, but I think you have to put your head into the attic and try and get under the floorboards and things. We also had another buyer she was a vendor of ours, but then she was trying to buy as well. And all the way through, she was like, yeah, my friend is going to be the one who comes and checks it for me. And we had the conversation with her, do you want a registered licensed blah, blah, blah builder or inspector, or do you want your friend? Is he okay? Does he understand that you're buying this based on his knowledge? And she went back to him and had the conversation and he goes, oh, actually, I'm not comfortable providing you with this if you're going to base whether you buy the house on my advice or not, because he suddenly realized about the liability of that and how much trust she was placing in his opinion. And if she had just wanted his opinion, he'd have been fine. But realizing she was actually paying money for this house because he said so.
And that was going to be the last point I would have raised as well, is that, family and money never mix as well. Like try to, if there is a professional you can pay, just pay the professional, get the proper opinion, because then if you're going to, suddenly realize the house has issues or whatever, you can go back to the builder and you can say, hey, you've told me this, but this is this. What are we going to do about this? Versus if that was your dad, if that was your uncle, if that was your cousin or a brother, I mean, imagine how you're going to feel. What sort of family feuds are you going to have? Because
and people try and use their family and friends to save money, which is fair enough if they're making multiple offers on properties. It gets really expensive. But if you're looking at the cost of your home loan versus the cost of a building report, most of the building inspectors charge based on square meters. So if you're buying a first home that's under 100 square meters, usually you get a better price than if you're buying a 350 square meter home with 2 stories, for example. So yeah, it's she's looking at me. So there's different prices for reports, and if you look at the cost of a loan or potential repairs for something that's missed versus a cost of a report, it is worth getting the report.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope Evan enjoyed this episode. Evan, this episode was not sponsored by building inspectors, but if you'd like to sponsor this episode, we're more than happy to do so. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. And as usual, if there are any hot topics that you'd like us to address, feel free to reach out. And that's a wrap on That Home Loan Hub. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join me next time for more property tips and tricks. Your next smart move starts here.